Have you ever thought that public relations was just for big, glossy companies with a fat budget to match? Then you've fallen into the same trap that many entrepreneurs have, which is not including PR as part of their marketing mix. PR expert Lillian Sue takes us through how small businesses can use PR to grow and scale, and she also answers the age-old question: is there no such thing as bad press? Make sure to rate and review this podcast and share it with your fellow boss babes. Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to the Crystal Vision podcast, where we dive deep into the strategies and energetics of business, money, and mindset mastery so as to create the next generation of wildly wealthy women. My name is Olivia Clare and I'm a serial entrepreneur who is obsessed with giving you all of the tools that you need to create your crystal clear vision of success. Each week, you will hone in on your unique zone of genius and embody the highest version of yourself to reverse engineer your way to your dream life. If you're ready to let go of the hustle and effortlessly call in more money, more growth, and more fulfillment, stay tuned. Hi, Lillian. You are a public relations coach and copywriter joining us on the Crystal Vision podcast today. We are so lucky. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks, Olivia. Thanks for having me.
Can't wait to talk to you. This is something that we haven't even sort of dived into at all on the Crystal Vision podcast yet. Today's the day. And we're obviously going to be talking about public relations and how we can incorporate it into our marketing mix. And I feel like with digital businesses nowadays, public relations is sort of a forgotten cornerstone of marketing. It's such an important and integral part of the overall marketing mix, but it feels like no one does it. So can you, for anyone who hasn't really come across public relations in the past, can you explain sort of what it is?
PR, in a nutshell, is the strategic communications process whereby you are building relationships with the media in order to share your message, share your story with the general public. So the reason you want to do that, and the reason that this is different from email marketing and from social media marketing, is those two components of marketing are things that you do yourself. Okay, so you are responsible for putting out the content. You are responsible for promoting the content, and it's all coming from you. It's all coming from the horse's mouth. Maybe your audience responds to it. Maybe they don't. Maybe they share it. Maybe they don't, but it's coming from you. The power of PR, the reason why you want to figure out what parts of your story you want to share and then go through the media to do it, is so many of these media platforms have spent months, if not years, cultivating their reputations, building credible, trustworthy content that their audiences trust and latch onto. And when you appear on those platforms, all of a sudden their audience members are like, oh, wait a minute, this entrepreneur has shown up on this podcast that I listen to all the time. Maybe I should follow them. Maybe I should sign up for their newsletter. Maybe I should buy their product. Or, you're an author who's releasing a new book and it's like, hey, this sounds really cool. I should check this out. So the trust that that media platform has built with their audiences is transferred in part to you, helping your brand and your business build credibility. And the other part of it is that this is credibility that you can't build on your own. This is third-party, credible, reputable, knowledgeable endorsements that are supporting your businesses, sharing your stories. And basically, it is a conduit, a shortcut for you to get in front of more customers, more clients, more viewers, more readers, whatever it is that you are going after, because it's impossible for us as entrepreneurs to basically interact with every single customer out there one-on-one. So PR is your shortcut your springboard, your conduit to getting in front of the right audiences on a larger scale. And on top of that, content wise, I speak to entrepreneurs all the time who say, I have no idea what I want to post. My strategy is all over the place. I don't have one. It's really hard for me to build consistency. PR is a fantastic way to get high quality, trustworthy content that you don't have to create, that somebody else, a podcaster, a reviewer, a broadcast TV station has created on your behalf that you can then use to share with your audiences all through social media, on your website, in your email newsletters. And again, it reinforces your reputation that you are trustworthy, that you're credible, and that you know what you're doing.
I've got to say, you're selling me. I'm like, all of a sudden I'm credible and I don't, content's being made for me. And also I think like collaboration, it can feel so lonely sometimes in the entrepreneurial space. Like we get to talk to real life people about the journey that we're on and have it be documented. So this is all just like so fantastic. I really feel like people are going to listen to this and completely look at their marketing strategy in a different way. I feel like we often associate PR, or maybe it's just me, but I see this a lot in media as well. PR is with big companies. It's big, sending like gifting boxes or really big events. So in my head, I think PR, big business, big budget for PR. So my question for you is, how can public relations help smaller businesses, and how can we do public relations on a smaller scale?
This is a fantastic question because it is absolutely the top prevailing PR myth out there. I hear from entrepreneurs all the time who believe that it can't work for them unless they have an audience in the millions and they have at least $20,000 to $30,000 to utilize per campaign. And the fact of the matter is that it's a false myth, because PR can work for any business. The key is two things, or maybe three things actually. The key is figuring out what your story is. And by story, I don't mean I created this product to do X, Y, Z. I always counsel my clients to go a little deeper and to actually focus on getting introspective on their journey as an entrepreneur. Why did you get started? What motivates you? Who inspired you? What is the impact you want to make with this business for the future? And the reason why I tell them that it's really important that that be their first step to developing a PR campaign is because at the end of the day, what you do is almost immaterial. And it's immaterial because there's so many other entrepreneurs and brands out there that do what you do. To get people to trust you, what they want to know is, why do you do what you do, how you do it, and what can they expect from working with you in terms of how is that collaboration and that process going to look. And you can't just approach PR with something to sell, because it's not about selling. It's not about sales. It's about storytelling. And a lot of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, particularly women, have a lot of limiting beliefs and mindset blocks about sharing their stories. There's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and imposter syndrome is also a really big part of it, because comparison syndrome plays into what they see on a daily basis. When they see another entrepreneur in their space getting those interviews, booking those events, they start to compare their journey to someone else's, and all of these limiting beliefs exist to stop them from moving forward. So when I work with my clients, in addition to helping them really figure out what their story is, I work with them on, when you have these fears about sharing your story. So what do you actually want to do? If you know what your story is, what do you actually want to do with it? Are you looking to increase sales by 20% over the next 3 months? Are you looking to build a thought leadership PR strategy in order to eventually conduct your own workshops, lead webinars, do conference keynote addresses at different major conferences. When you have an idea of what your story is and what your goals are that helps to position your story in front of the media, then you can learn how to build the building blocks of an effective strategy. And when it comes to budget or whether you have to go big, a lot of that does come down to your goals, because I've worked with entrepreneurs who are just looking to do maybe an industry specific or a local campaign versus entrepreneurs who want to do an international campaign where you're hitting mainstream media, podcasts, and a lot of other areas. And those are the things that can affect how long a campaign is, and yes, what your budget is as well. But it's not correct to say that in order to have success in PR that you automatically have to spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and that you have to have these big grandiose ideas. It's really about, what's my story? What are my goals? And what are the ways and methods that I want to use in order to reach those goals? So it's things like appearing on podcasts, things like writing for industry blogs, and things like eventually pitching yourself for speaking opportunities to do workshops, right? So in my experience and what I coach my clients on, PR can work for anybody, but you need to have that mindset piece. You need to have a solid story, and you need to know what your goals are.
I love this. I love, love, love it. And I feel like it's just simplifies PR down from that, oh my God, I have to talk to this person, that person, do this, invite this person here, over there, to what do I really want? And how can I use public relations as a vehicle to create that in my business? So thank you for just making that so clear for us. Do you have any tactical tips or strategies? Is there maybe, I find it's often a lot more than tactical stuff, but maybe there's a specific email that we can send, or is there, anything in particular that we can do tactically with PR when we're first getting started looking at public relations and incorporating it into our marketing mix?
I would say when you have solidified the parts of your story that you want to share with the media, first and foremost, when you're writing that pitch email, you are essentially answering two key questions for every editor, every podcast host, every freelance writer that you're sending it to. And that is, your pitch has to answer the questions of what makes your story unique and why is my audience going to care? So it's really coming down to positioning your story with specific angles that are going to appeal to that particular media outlet and their audiences. So case in point, this is also why doing your research into who you want to get in touch with is really important, because you would not, as an example, pitch a tech writer on a romance novel. There's no fit there.
Yeah.
You would not, as an example, pitch a local business writer on your charity fundraising event, because he's not the one that's going to cover that sort of thing. So when you are developing a pitch that's going to position your story, what you want to do is answer what makes your story unique and why will their audiences care in as little words as possible, because you're not writing an academic thesis here. What you want to do with your pitch is to hook them in order to entice them enough to send you an email, to book an interview, invite you for an event, whatever the goal is. And then your media kit is part of that follow-up, because the media kit is going to fill in all of the gaps that were in your pitch, because of course you're not going to give them everything in your pitch. So your media kit is going to show them things like your brand photos of the project that you have, project blurbs, your bio, any media experience you have, like links that you have to your previous interviews and everything. And the reason why you want to create this complete visual promotional package for them is because they can take the media kit and then go, okay, this is going to help me form the basis of any interview questions I want to ask them. This is going to give me assets that I can use to then promote their interview, promote the event, whatever the media opportunity is. So to use a fishing metaphor, the pitch is to hook them. The media kit is to help you reel them in. And even before that, it's important to do your research so that you know who you're actually sending your story to.
Yeah, you don't want to go fishing in a place where there's fish that you don't want to eat, to keep the metaphor going as well. I love that. Yeah, that is so helpful because it makes so much sense, and it's not something that I feel like I would have thought of automatically, like just thinking, oh, I just need to find someone to write my story. Will anyone write my story? Versus being really strategic with who it is that you're targeting. And, even if you have, say you're a small business and you're targeting business writers, out of those 10 business writers, is there something about your story that's going to connect with their personal story as well, that's going to just make things even more easy to reel them in, so to speak? So that's super helpful in terms of like a tactical tip, and definitely something that everyone can get started with today, like developing their story or, writing up an email, making sure that they have a media kit. Now we've touched a little bit on myths about public relations. I would love to know what you think is the most misunderstood thing about PR.
Here's a really popular one that's existed for decades, even long before I got into business, and that is that any publicity is good publicity. So I say to my clients and people in my audience, and I've talked about this in webinars and workshops that I've presented as well, the problem with that line of thinking is that it assumes when you are getting out there with a campaign and you're sharing your story and you're building relationships with reporters, writers, podcasters, TV producers, what have you, it assumes that if you have something in your past that has been negative or unsavory or anything like that, that because you're getting out there now, they're just going to overlook it. And what I say to my clients is that most of us as entrepreneurs are not the Hollywood celebrity type. We're not the A-listers. We don't have dozens of people as a crisis communications team behind us that will help us build a strategy to move forward from that negativity. The unfortunate thing is that if you are in the middle of launching something and you haven't, first of all, gone back and looked at whether or not there's any proof of anything negative in your past that people can just dig up on social media or whatever it is, it can actually sink any kind of progress you're making with your current campaign in building your reputation, in developing the goodwill that you have with audiences, and certainly with the positive relationships that you're trying to build with the media. So what I say to clients is, particularly when you are just starting out, it is really important to do that audit, that content audit on social media, on your website, on email, on websites, wherever. And not only make sure that everything that you're sending out is relevant and updated, but also to make sure that to the best of your ability, there's nothing out there that can come back and bite you. Because for a lot of smaller businesses and smaller entrepreneurs, something like that, if you have it lingering around, can come back and really damage your reputation here and now and for the future. And for a lot of entrepreneurs who don't have a crisis plan handy and a framework that allows them to be honest and transparent and authentic with their audiences, allows them to be held accountable for what happened before, and also allows them to show that that kind of thing is not going to happen again. Without that, very few businesses, very few entrepreneurs can recover. And it's the kind of thing, when I talk about negativity, it could be anything from financial embezzlement to drunken antics to, just serious crimes. So it's really, really key to do your homework to make sure that whatever happened, nobody can just access that stuff and have it come back and bite you.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because I feel like cancel culture as well has really exacerbated this. There's, one thing wrong, one mistake from the past, and your entire audience will literally walk out the door overnight. So that's, such good advice as well, to just go do a little digging. Have you got any random Facebook posts lying around from 10 years ago that we need to just delete, little things like that even. So, and it's funny that you say that that's the most misunderstood thing, because my next question was, is there no such thing as bad press? So we've covered that. Happy days. Let's talk about you for a second. I would love to know what you're currently passionate about, whether it's in life or in business, and what's lighting you up.
I'm actually currently in the middle of a campaign for my first nonfiction PR book, known as The Powerful Publicity Prescription. And I decided to write this because a lot of the entrepreneurs and authors that I have worked with, and also the ones in my audience, had said, following you on social media is great. I love getting the actionable tips, but what I don't have is something tangible that I can refer back to that's going to give me the whole picture. So with this book, I basically dive into the history of PR, why it's powerful, why entrepreneurs should consider incorporating it as part of their marketing mix, into the mindset piece, really diving into what triggers resentment, fear, anxiety, stress, frustration, imposter syndrome, recognizing the triggers for that, learning how to build healthy coping mechanisms to push past it, and then going into how to position your story, goal planning, and then diving into all of the building blocks for each part of a strategy, everything from building the media kit to building the media list and the media pitch, all the way to, okay, now you've had an interview go live. What are you going to do to promote it, to keep the momentum going, to keep your projects top of mind? And how are you going to do that consistently in a way that serves you, in a way that prioritizes your energy and really aligns with how you're trying to run your business? And I'm really passionate about reinforcing that part of it, because so many of my clients and also people in my audience have had a lot of issues burning out. And they burn out because so much of the industry jargon has said, you have to be online 24/7. You have to show up several times a day in order to truly make an impact. And for me, and the cornerstone of my business, it's always been about personalized support, guidance, and providing that clarity for them, tailoring it in a way that works for them. So I sit them down and I always go, okay, what does consistency look like to you? Can you actually sustain it if you were online 7 days a week posting and engaging? If you can't, I invite you to figure out what that manageable threshold looks like for you. Maybe it's 2 times a week. Maybe it's 3 times a week. But in any case, when you stick to that and it's manageable for you, your audience will follow you there. When you have something meaningful and impactful to say, they don't need to hear it from you 7 days a week in order for you to make that impact. If they know that you're active twice a week, they'll follow you for those days when they know that you have something to say, right?
Yeah.
What I've learned in all my years of doing this, and certainly what I've learned in from doing my own mindset work as well, is that the people that resonate with you and your story, they will hear it, no matter how you share it, no matter when you share it. The people that won't, doesn't matter how many times you show up in front of them. It's irrelevant to them. So one of the big things I also talk about with my clients in terms of positioning their projects and getting out there and learning how to share their stories is it really does come down to recognizing that what you have to say is not for everybody. You're trying to reach the people that it resonates with. And in doing so, what you're doing is you're not sharing your story with a bunch of strangers. So many entrepreneurs fear that unknown piece. They fear losing control of their own stories and their own narratives because they're getting out there and sharing it. And I said, it's not about sharing things with strangers. It's about building those relationships through the common ground that you have, because there's always common ground. I work extensively with a graphic novelist who is a horror author and a filmmaker. I talk with horror media almost on a daily basis. I've known these people for years. These are people that automatically my client has a rapport with because they all love horror.
Mm.
Other clients who have, her work, sobriety and being a sober creative is really, really a big theme that features in her work. In reaching out and talking to sobriety podcasts and that focus on mental health, they have that common ground already, that this is something that they're all passionate about. And I think it helps to remove the stigma of talking to strangers. It helps to remove that fear of, if I get out there, I'm just going to lose control of my own story. People are going to twist it into however they want to. Recognizing that you always have the power to share what you want to share. There is a line between what is personal versus what's private, and you can choose where that line is for yourself and for your business. And that also includes sharing things on social media as well. And that's how you build that authentic, transparent, honest, trustworthy relationship with the media and with audiences, because you're still getting out there and being truthful to yourself. You're still sharing your story. That doesn't mean you have to give them every single detail, but what you choose to share, the people that resonate with it will be the ones that respond.
Powerful. Tell me, where can we get the book? I want it immediately. Yesterday in my letterbox.
The book is currently, the campaign is on, I can send you the link. It's on crowdfunder.com/publicity prescription. I'm currently raising funds, not just to bring the book to life. I'm also doing a companion glossary as well as a workbook. But my goal with it is to be able to empower as many nonprofits as possible by donating books, because I know a lot of them have a lot of major issues with their marketing and PR strategies, and they can't always hire someone in-house, nor can they afford to work with agencies. So that's one goal I have with the book. Another one is to expand speaking tours so that I can continue to make an impact through webinars and workshops and educate different associations. That's, women in leadership, women in business, entrepreneurship, tech associations, startups, all of that kind of thing. And I also plan to have a few scholarships for some lucky entrepreneurs to have them be the first people to enter into a monthly membership that I'm planning on building, where they'll have access to things like private one-on-one coaching, group coaching, collaborative workshops, and resources to really help them gain that education and get empowered by gaining confidence to learn how to make PR work for them. So that's kind of my goal, all of my goals with the book. So you can find it on the website, but I'll definitely send you the links to that as well.
Yeah. We'll have that in the show notes as well. So everyone listening to this episode can go and support that. So we can get it to us faster. My last question is, what is your crystal vision for the future? So without revealing too much, what is it that you're working towards now so that in a few years' time, we'll be able to look back and say, oh my goodness, she did it all?
I am working towards my life mission for my business is to, how can I continue to pay it forward through education and empowerment? And my goal is to be able to do that through speaking opportunities all over the world, conference keynotes, workshops, webinars, and to be able to really empower particularly female entrepreneurs to fulfill their fullest potential. Because I really do believe that inside every single entrepreneur is the potential to become a global industry leader. But what they need is perspective, clarity, and personalized guidance on how to get there. So my goal is to continue to impact as many people on a positive level to really utilize the tools to develop a strong mindset, the tools to be able to build and launch their own successful PR campaigns, and to then stand up and make a positive impact with their audiences by they themselves getting up on stage and speaking or teaching workshops, whatever it is that they want to do, because I really believe that everyone deserves that. And it's not just a world where it's people who are millionaires or people who are celebrities or people who lead Fortune 500 companies that can do this.
Oh, that's a beautiful crystal vision. I'm there. I'm with you. I want it for us as well. Is there anything else that you want to get off your chest or anything I didn't ask you? Anything else you want to say before we can call this episode a success?
I think if I had one key takeaway for any entrepreneur who's looking at maybe, incorporating PR, maybe they're thinking about it, maybe they don't know a ton about it, I invite you to first, even before you talk to any publicist or anything like that, sit down and have a brainstorming session with yourself about what is my story. Get it down on paper so it's tangible. It's a piece that you can always go back to draw from if you're sending emails or sending people other information. And also at the same time, sit with yourself and ask yourself, do I have any fears about this? Do I have anything that's going to make it harder for me to get out there? And why do I feel that way? And I think if more entrepreneurs took a step back and actually took the time out to do a bit of that brainstorming, allow themselves to slow down and get introspective on what it is they're doing and why and how they do it, I think it would make streamlining this process and the idea of storytelling and building relationships with media a lot easier.
Yeah. That is amazing advice. That's such a key piece there, just taking a minute to slow down and really get clear on, if you're doing things in a certain way, and if you're choosing to want to do it in a different way, what is it that's like in that space between where you are now and where you want to be? What fears, what concerns, what thoughts do you need to change? So I love that. And I think it's so powerful. Exactly like you said, just taking out a few minutes to be really purposeful can completely change the trajectory of your business and life. Tell us, where can people find you in order to stay motivated? Because I feel very motivated after this podcast episode to stay informed, to learn more. Where can we go and stalk you?
They can always find me on Instagram at Lillian Sue Copywriter PR. That's all one word. They can check out my website at inretrospectwritingservices.com. I'm on LinkedIn, just at Lillian Sue. And they can also, check out my book campaign, as well as just send me an email through my website as well. I'm always available to answer any questions and provide help.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing all these incredible tips, strategies, insights into public relations. I feel like we've covered so much, and I want to go and now have a look at where PR is going to fit into my marketing mix. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.